Good afternoon, everybody. I'm here on behalf of a campaign that is going on in Mumbai right now, which is Amchi Mumbai, Amchi Best. Best stands for BEST, which is the bus service run by the municipality of Mumbai. Um, well, before we start, because it's a vast topic, of the city being in transition, and then what are people's responses to it, and so on. And I'm planning to focus more and more on transport as a right of people in this city and in every place in the world, and at the same time also how people should be responding to the present so-called crisis within the BEST. But before that, I think we need to look at the 2 points of view that we see around us. One is that of those who are forming schemes and policies and making decisions for the ruled, and the other is the people who are at the other end bearing the brunt of these policies and so on. So if we look at the city, whether it is Mumbai or any other city, we realize that actually who has built these cities? It has been the working class that has been building these cities, right from the buildings that we have, to the mills and factories that are run here, to the transport system that is run here, to the roads, to the airports, whatever it is the working class that has built the cities. And now you find that more and more, I'm not saying that it was always there, but now you find more and more that the spaces for people, the working class, and the working classes, which also includes the middle classes, teachers and people working in banks and so on. The spaces for this section is reducing further and further. That space, I mean not only physically, but also in the decision making of that city. So what they built has now, like one of the earlier speakers said, their role is seen as redundant, that they can be got rid of, you see, and that is the whole approach that we find. So the whole setting of priorities has changed completely, and therefore you find that, what is called development now is a coastal road, a sea link, penguins, and so on and so on, penguins in the zoo, yeah. And statues and things like that. Now that is seen as something that we can show off to the world, whereas actually the work of the BMC, the government, has to be towards people and towards people's needs. So if you look at the BMC's role, it has been that whatever was built on people's money, and let me be very clear about this, that whatever comes to the government is always something that comes from the people, and so has to be utilized for people and their needs. Instead, you find that all that has been built on people's money is being eroded bit by bit, and I think very targetedly and very definitively that is being done. So you find that the education, schools that were run by municipalities, the hospitals that were run by municipalities have been eroded in such a way that people feel that, okay, maybe going to the private might be better as an option. So what has happened is that the model that they put in front of you is very often that the private is better than the public sector is. Yeah, and that is exactly what is happening with the BEST also. With the BEST, what they've done is that the claim being that BEST is running into losses. Now BEST running into losses, it's transport. It's a service that has to be provided to people. And a service is not meant to make profit. A service is a service that has to be provided to people no matter what. It has to be subsidized. Yeah, but then this whole thing of, BEST is running into losses and now we can't take care of it anymore. Yeah. Now if we look further into it, we realize that I said that the process goes on into eroding that facility. Yeah, and you will find that over the years, the allocation of budgets from the BMC towards BEST, which is a bus service, is going down further to the point that today there is zero budget allocation. All over the world, public transport has been and is being subsidized. It is true everywhere in the world. In fact, there are some cities, some countries where they're now saying that even for pollution to be in control, they're offering free public transport so that people don't use private vehicles. And when you say that public transport is running into losses, you're automatically saying that the other side, which is try your own transport, go more and more towards private transport, and whatever little is left of the BEST will now move into what is called wet leasing. It's a beautiful word for privatization. We don't understand these terms so often, and we know we get carried away. But over about 2 years now, we've been campaigning against the privatization of BEST. And there is a booklet here that I want to show. I have copies of this. Anybody who wants to buy it can buy it here. We've tried to show how exactly, if the contractors are brought in, if BEST is going to be privatized, wet leased as it's called, it's in fact going to cost the BMC much more than running it as it is being run now. In fact, one of the unions has even come up with a study where they say that even running it free of cost is going to be better than any wet leasing of BEST. So that is something that we see as a right of people, and that right has to be kept, it has to be guarded. Privatization has never been the solution and will never be the solution. Very shortly about what has happened to the BEST. We said that it's being pushed into losses, right? Because it's becoming more and more inefficient, so people are infrequent. People tend to feel, that how can we keep waiting for a bus endlessly? We may as well organize our own transport. It may be our scooters and motorbikes. It may be share a taxi or share an auto. Yeah. The other thing is that BEST is never allowed to go right outside the stations, which are, the railways are the main mode of transport in the city. So the BEST bus goes on the highway, on the main road outside, at a distance from the local railway station, whereas all private vehicles are going straight to the station. So what is the choice given to people? You're coming back tired from home, you have to pick up a child from school, you have to go back home and cook, the person may be tired, and then the first thing you see is share an auto. You jump into that auto and you take it home. So again, another way of pushing the BEST into losses. The staff that is retired over the years has never been replenished. No new workers, no permanent proper jobs have been offered to people. So today, as a result, 1,500 drivers and 1,500 conductors, vacancies are empty. So how do we expect the frequency? Every day more than 750 buses, and let me tell you this, that I'll give you the figures here. The ridership of BEST has gone down from 42 lakhs, which it was in 2010, to in 2018, it's now 28 lakhs. So 1/3 out. Yeah? The number of buses that they had in 2012 was 4,700. Now the fleet is down to 2,800 and something. Again, 1/3 slashed. Every day they have 750 buses that are just detained because there is no staff. So you see, you kind of drain that facility bit by bit. You drain that the transport system bit by bit, and then you say it's running into losses. It's bound to, because ridership is going down. They keep raising the tariff every time, and so for the smallest running range, say between 2 and 4 kilometers, the ridership is going down, which was the maximum. Because I want to go from my house to the station, to the closest railway station, And if the fares are increasing, think of daily wage workers. How will anybody be able to afford it? So people prefer walking, or then they find their own transport, or again, share autos will always be there. 112 routes have been cancelled because they're not profitable. Now these are routes that take people right to their homes. And now they're just cut off. So it's bit by bit washing their hands of all responsibility towards the people of the city. So when we started this campaign, we felt that, those who are in authority, those who are in power, always come up with one model. We have to show that the alternative model is possible, it is workable, and it has to be a people's model. So very much in short, I would just say that what we are proposing is that when the BMC says that BST is one of its wings, so when the BST management and the BMC say that BST is running in losses, we're saying that we have to merge the budgets of BEST with the BMC. You see, because this is a right of people, it is public transport, it has to be kept, not just kept, it has to be enhanced further. So that is the first thing we're talking about. We're talking of how private transport has to be discouraged. Because look at the space that is being occupied on the road. I was talking of shrinking spaces for the working classes. The space that is used on the roads by BEST buses today is only 2.2% of the entire road space in the city. One BEST bus carries 72 people. If the same were to go by any other form of transport, you're occupying far more space on the roads. You have traffic jams, then buses get stuck again, you see? And this is, it's like a vicious circle. So we have to come out of it. What we've proposed is that one lane on every main road be reserved only for the BEST. That way the buses will move fast, they'll be more efficient. Most of us will say, okay, we don't want private transport, let's go back to the buses. Because that's how the buses should move. That is how public transport should move. It's happened in other cities and it's working well. What we are also saying is that reduce the fares so that the commuters come back to the BEST. We're saying that the frequency of the buses should be increased so that it's more efficient and people think of using BEST more often than they think of using private transport. Also that metro, which is now part of the privatization of the railways. If you look at the metros, Metro 1, it started off with a fare of 7 rupees. And within no time, it's gone up to something like 35 or 40 rupees. So when the Reliance management, who own Metro 1, were asked by the courts, their lawyer said, metro is for the classes, not for the masses. Okay? So this is what is going to happen with all kinds of private transport. We're saying that this city belongs to those who work here. And so they have a right over the city, not just transport, not just hospitals, not just schools, they have a right over the entire city, and that right we have to claim. So when we're talking of people's responses, that is what we need to move towards. And we've been part of this campaign now for about a year and a half, almost 2 years now. So, those of you who might be interested could please join the campaign. I think that only a collective voice, a collective struggle can bring about that change. Thank you.